Sit loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome. So today's video was long overdue. I just feel really bad in my spirit that I have not yet talked about this, especially with what's going on in the world today. My neighbors are outside too, so it's kind of awkward. The show must go on. Silence speaks louder, so I don't want to stay silent. If you're a person who gets offended by hashtag Black Lives Matter or respond with hashtag All Lives Matter and hashtag newsflash, you're part of the problem. Do you believe it or not, whether you intend to be or not, you're racist. Of course all lives matter, duh.
He's pretty cool.
What do you guys think about Black Lives Matter?
They do matter.
They do?
Because I don't want my daddy to die. My daddy's
You're black too, Navia.
black. So I should be hiding. If you see anybody grabbing into something, police, it's not a gun. It just might be a toy
Yeah.
or an object. Sit loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
Amen.
Black lives matter in my home, in my house, in Jesus, and
You can do this.
in 3 and 4, and 5, 6, 7. I love my. Yeah, you all better be nice to black people, cause we're all people.
And if you turn us inside out, we're all the same color. We all bleed red, right? Black people.
Yeah. When my sister's foot was bleeding, she had red blood.
I'm white, so what color was my blood when I was bleeding?
Red.
We all bleed.
And when my dad was bleeding, he had red blood.
That's right.
And I love my hair. If there's any boys there, be my boyfriend.
No, she didn't, Sammy. So that was all unplanned, unexpected, but that just goes to further prove my point that children are innocent and they don't see color. I mean, they see it. They can see that somebody physically isn't the same color as them. It doesn't matter to them. Adults and people around them influence their opinions and dictate and create their views for their future. So we have to be careful as parents that we are instilling good morals, equality, and human decency to our children so that they don't grow up racist. Of course, all lives matter. That's common sense, right? Every human being, their life is important and it matters and it should matter. I'd like to say we all get that. But do we all get that? Do we all truly believe that? Absolutely. Sadly, unfortunately not. See, we can try to deny it doesn't exist anymore. That's a thing of the past. It ended years ago. It's just something that we learned about in a textbook. And we celebrate once a year. We can pretend that the KKK and slavery are just a thing of the past, or just what people back in the day went through, but not us today. It couldn't possibly be here still in 2020. But truth is, racism, it's never ended. It's like we put a Band-Aid on it. We put a Band-Aid on it to slow down the heaviness of it, stop the bleeding, temporarily shut you up, Stop crying. Stop crying about it. Here's a Band-Aid. Let's put it on you. Even though laws were passed, just because there's a law passed doesn't mean that people are going to follow it. Just, people are going to be them regardless of laws. No, it's not what it used to be. It never ended. Operated on here and there. But overall, it's just been one Band-Aid after the other. It's never been fixed. There's no cure. See, you can't fix something that you don't think is broken. And a lot of people in this world don't think it's broken. Don't think that it exists. Don't think that there's a problem. There's a problem with that. So when you say all lives matter, duh. We get it. It's not about that. There's people in this world who think that black lives don't matter at all. Like, not one bit. That breaks my heart. I want to talk about my personal experiences with racism. No, I'm not black. I couldn't possibly imagine what it's like to be. I'm the mother of 2 half black, half white little girls who are so confused by what's going on right now. They can't even comprehend in the slightest why somebody would not like you because of something you can't change. Your skin color. I was a little white boy at the park with my youngest, Nevaeh. She's 5 now. She was 3 at the time. And they were playing, and all of a sudden she comes running over, "Mommy, Mommy," crying, like hysterically crying. I said, "What's the matter, Nevaeh?" She said, "That little boy is mean to me." I said, "Oh, get over it." I said, most of the time, boys, when they're mean to you, it's because they really like you. Just trying to make her feel better. She goes, "No, Mommy, this boy doesn't like me at all." I said, "Well, how do you know that?" He said, "Get off the slide. I don't like you." And she said, "Why? You don't know me. I don't like your ugly brown face." Her heart was crushed. And then mine was too. It broke for her. Like, it was her first encounter with racism. 3 years old. The very first memory I have of someone being racist came from my very own father. I don't like to admit that. I feel shame for that. But it's the truth. A prime example of why we are taught to be racist. I was 4 or 5, and my parents had separated. Lived with my mom most of the time, but on the weekends I would go visit my dad. My dad lived in a small town. I was born in a small town, very country, predominantly white people. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I was visiting my dad on the weekends, and we were watching the MTV Music Awards, and Jay-Z was on. He was performing or something, I don't know. And the show goes off. My dad is getting ready to get up and get ready for bed. I turned around and looked at my father. I said, "Daddy." He said, "What?" "When I grow up, I'm gonna marry a black man just like Jay-Z." My father's response, "The hell you are?" Over my dead body. God rest his soul. You can imagine how I felt. I was just like, I didn't ask questions. I just silent. But I went to bed that night being like, why would he say that? I took it up as, oh, I'm just too little. Like, I should be thinking about getting married right now. My dad intentionally taught me to be racist. He was taught that. And it's passed down generation after generation after generation. My mom and I and my sisters, we moved out of that town. Way more diverse, a lot more black people. I could have grew up a very different person. I could have been completely different in all ways, all aspects. And I just thank God for my mom getting up and taking us to a place where we were able to grow and not be so closed in. My dad passed away this year. I'd like to tell you that my dad did not continue to be racist. He was for a long time until I got married. I should have known when I was 4 or 5 years old that I, in fact, was going to marry a black man. Even growing up, I never had, preferences. Oh, I only date black guys. No. And guess what? My dad and my husband were great friends. My dad was able to change. He seen something in him that he didn't like, and he fixed it. And who treated me well, who was loving and kind, and he wasn't all those stereotypical things that people or white fathers think about black men when their daughters are dating them. And it opened his eyes. My dad's last day here on this earth, my husband was holding his hand and crying and saying, "I love you, man. I love you." And my dad looked at him. He said, "I love you so much too, brother." That is what the world needs. People need to open their eyes and be open. A black person that you're afraid of is somebody's child, is somebody's father, mother, brother, sister, cousin. That person who's nobody to you, yeah, he's nobody to you, but he is everything to somebody. Makes me sick. What just happened to George Floyd, I don't care about his past. He didn't deserve to go out like that. How dare that officer play God? Or the man who was jogging and was looking at the unfinished houses, and those chased him down and gunned him down. Such a heavy topic. Like, it's me so drained and like it to the point where I am literally ashamed to be. I have watched my husband work as all he knows. That is his life. He's a workaholic, fixing and building. Got so much life in him. I see him struggle. I get more angry for him than he does. He's just so used to it, he says. But I've seen him have to work twice as hard. He's been with this company for like 10 years now. And he's probably the lowest paid. He makes a good, decent living, but deserves more. He's got to work twice as hard for the same things that you and I are just given. I am not ashamed. I always feel like this whenever I meet new people or I start a new job or something. I always feel like I have to like slowly wean them in. Like, let them get to know me first, let them like me, and let them know and be like, psh, bet you didn't think that. There's something wrong with that. I am not ashamed to be married to a black man. I'm not ashamed at all. Why do I feel guilty or embarrassed for people who are like that? Like, I get embarrassed for them. I get embarrassed for people being racist. They got no shame in it. But I feel embarrassed for them. Something wrong. The second memory that I have, 6th grade, yeah. I had just met a new friend at school. She had just moved here. Her name is Nicole. And I wanted her to spend the night. I said, Mom, can my friend Nicole spend the night on Friday? She said, sure. I just want to talk to her mother and make sure it's okay. But Mom, I have to tell you something. She's like, what? Nicole's black. I'll never forget it. I've said it with shame, guilt. I said it with unsurety. I said it with like nervousness. Like, I didn't know if it was okay. And my mother, she, God rest her soul too, but she looked at me. She said, Marky. She grabbed my face. She said, Marky, it does not matter what color Nicole is. It does not matter what any color anybody is. If she's your friend, she's welcome in our house. She said, I don't ever want to hear you question somebody for the color of their skin. I thought I taught you better than that. And I'm sorry. Sorry that I never discussed that with you. And I never, it's a confusion from my dad when I was 4 or 5, had carried with me throughout those years. My mom had never made me feel like that, but I didn't know. We're not born racist. We're taught it. We're a product of our environment. When you're driving down the road and you come into a town and it's a bunch of black people, you're not born thinking you're in a bad side of town. You're taught that. You're taught that black people steal. You might be taught, yes, that all people steal. But you're taught more. It sticks in your head more that it's the black ones to watch out for, the black ones to be scared of. It makes me so mad. Black people are the realest. I remember thinking my husband and I aren't going to work because we grew up 2 different lifestyles. And guess what? Everybody always looked at me like, why are you with him? Like there was something wrong with him. He's not an angel. Compared to the 2, he is way better off than me without me. Like, I'm the broken one. I'm the one that came from the poor side of town. Had daddy issues. I'm from a broken home, was mentally unstable. I'm the one who quit high school. I'm the one who rebelled. He went to a all-white school, graduated, parents still together after 50-some years. 50. Has lived in the same house his entire life until he was an adult and moved out. His parents still live there. They own their own business. They run a church. His dad's a pastor. So when people look at me with all my terrible baggage and the crap and the rough life I came from, and they ask me, why would you be with him? Why would he be with me? Because I'm white, because my skin is lighter. People think I'm too good to be with him. He's way too good to be with me. I tell him all the time, he deserves better. We are taught, systematically programmed to put ourselves up on a higher pedestal because we have lighter skin. I could be the crappiest person in the world, but because I'm white, I got the right. I gotta look at our prison systems. But I'm just saying. See, black people are supposed to just keep taking. Take it. Just put up with it. White people have made it where there's nothing you can do about it. Most white people, why they don't like black people, is because they're intimidated. They're scared of them. And they don't like things that intimidate them. They don't like things to make them feel less than. Black people are some of the most strongest, hardworking, loyal people. I love my family to death. We're all white. I was able to recognize this just because I married a black man and I seen both worlds. I saw my world and I saw the world he came from. I notice in my family, we are more hush-hush. We hold a lot of things in. We don't tell people how we really feel. We lie. Lie about everything. Little things. Tell a person they look good when they don't. You know, stupid things like that. But if a black person tells you, they don't look good, then they're arrogant and they don't know what they're talking about, or rude. They're too bold. I used to think those things. But then when I really thought about it, they're just being truthful. They're just being honest. See, in my family, I was taught to be like a people pleaser and do things even if you don't want to. So many black people are so close to the Lord. And if it wasn't for my husband and his black family, I wouldn't even know the Lord. I'm surprised that black people were so, like, close to God during slavery, because, like, how could you live that life? Like, you literally could be hung just for saying the wrong thing to a white person. Like, oh my God, it's sickening. They weren't allowed to use the same toilets as white people. Like, white people's butt germs were better than black people's. This is crazy to me that this, existed. And this is what's wrong with the world. The world doesn't want to, white people don't want to validate what black people went through. They want them to shut up. They want them to drop it and just forget it. And that's not okay. So if you think that racism is just part of the History Channel, you're wrong. Then you're probably racist. Maybe you don't think you are. Maybe you don't intend to be. Maybe you were just taught it. Seeds are grown. They begin when you're a child. People that are around you are what water those seeds. And it can be watered in a good way or watered in a bad way. Either way, they're going to grow. So you're either going to grow up good or you're going to grow up bad. It always comes down to two choices. The right thing or the wrong thing. Good or evil. The jokes that people make about black people or white people being stereotypical has come from somewhere. So when you are a white woman and you're home alone and you order a pizza, the delivery driver comes up to your door, knocks at your door, and you peek out your peephole and you notice it's a black man versus a white man. You can't tell me you don't pause for a minute, that you don't get a fear. That's racism. I'm not racist. I have black friends. And my daughter's boyfriend's brother's cousin's sister is with a black person. They came to my house for dinner. I'm not racist. My parents aren't racist. They just don't want me dating a black guy. I'm sorry, honey. Your parents are racist. Racism is alive. It is out there and it is everywhere. And I'm sick of it. If I am tired, if I'm affected by this, I can't imagine what Black people are going through. Being Black is like being accused of something you didn't do. Hear me out now. Say you got arrested for a crime you didn't commit. This happens all the time. Everybody around you, everybody in town is talking about you. Saying, oh, so-and-so did this, running your name through the dirt. Putting you down, tearing you down. You lost your job now. You've lost friendships now. No one trusts you. And all the while, you're innocent. You didn't even do the crime. There's a big story about it in the news. Everybody's talking about it. And it's affecting you. And all you want is just to treat you like a normal person. And so you go to court by the grace of God. The truth comes out. And you're not guilty, okay? Finally, people know I didn't do this. Just want to get back to normal, right? And although you never committed that crime, that's a fact. You were never guilty to begin with. But you were accused of it. Your life is never the same. Your reputation is now ruined. People hear your name, they think of that crime. Even though you didn't do it, they wonder, well, there's that little chance that maybe they did do that. And even though you know in your heart and your soul that you're innocent and you were proven innocent by the courts, all that attention and all the accusations ruined your name. And so now when you go to try to get a job, the person doesn't look at you and what you're qualified for, but they look at what they heard about you. And there's always going to be that little bit of, well, maybe they did. That's what it's got to feel like. Somebody judging you for something you didn't make happen. Black people didn't ask to be Black. God created Black people in His perfect image. Wonderfully made. For His glory. For His reason. For His purpose. Gotta live the rest of your life with the stares, judgments, and the talking about, and the don't go near, and oh, I heard this. I can imagine that's somewhat what it's like to be Black. And that breaks my heart. We are in 2020. Time to stop the nonsense. Senseless acts of evil are being done to Black people. I can't imagine if I had a son right now. These poor children, these poor little boys, especially, that are just born Black, have to fear walking down the street or going into a convenience store, buying some Skittles. It's not okay. It's not a big deal if it doesn't affect you personally. But what about if it did? Because it should. It should bother you. It should affect you. It should break your heart. And if it doesn't, then you are a part of the problem. And you are #